started today. My guest is Joe Copeland. In America right now, we have a lot of veterans. We have veterans, not that many from the World War II, but a lot of Vietnam vets and a lot of the veterans coming over from the wars in the Middle East. And there are a lot of things that come home with veterans that most people don't know about. Y'all know my career as a paramedic. You know, I've always said if my brain could forget what my eyes have seen, sometimes life would be easier. Well, it's a lot harder a lot of times for veterans, because if you've ever been in the war, and if you're a veteran, war is not glamorous, and the things you see sometimes you can't get out of your mind. And a lot of people are finding out that there's a epidemic of suicide going on among vets. It's been estimated that 22 veterans a day commit suicide because they've gotten to that point where they have no hope. Well, Joe Copeland's here today, and we don't have enough time to talk about how I met this man, but needless to say, Tim Radford over at KRK scooped me because I was going to have him on, but the day that I met him and talked about it is when we had the car wreck, so I've had to wait till Tim's had him on and had him on TV. If you've been online, good going, Tim. I appreciate that. But Tim's here with us in our studio audience. We do have one studious person here today. But Joe is walking across America to raise awareness for veteran suicide. Dude, I appreciate you so much. I have such respect for veterans anyway. I'm an old guy now, and the only war that was going on when I was around was Vietnam. I was too young to go, and when I was old enough to go, it was over. Mm-hmm. But I have parents and grandparents that were veterans, and I've got some relatives that are veterans, and I appreciate what you're doing. Now, you were in the Seabees, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I joined the Seabees right after 9/11. I felt a need for revenge, really.
Yeah.
And to serve my country.
Yeah.
So I joined directly after 9/11. I think I went in January of 2002, was because it takes a while to get in.
Sure.
And then I chose Seabees. I chose Navy because I didn't want to be in combat. And then they put me in the Seabees, which put me
in the middle of the combat.
I'm stationed with the Marines in the middle of the combat.
Yeah.
So, yes, sir.
And now you were in Afghanistan, is that correct?
No, I was in Kuwait
Okay.
for 6 months, and then Iraq for a year.
Yeah. So, you were early in. I've got a friend of mine that went into the service. In fact, he flew Apaches, and it scared me because I've known him since he was growing up. I couldn't believe that the government cut him loose with a $1 million plus helicopter with live ordnance. But anyway, he did okay. Now, a lot of people don't know, unless you've got a Navy background, the Seabees is a construction outfit. They go in, they create runways, they do whatever's necessary to move things, for things to happen, for things to go. And Navy, a lot of times people assume if you get in the Navy, you're safe. You're not safe at all.
The Navy and the Air Force, they think that we don't do anything in combat, but the Seabees are a force. We're stationed with Marines. We go out, we're side by side, and they blow the next thing up and we fix it. It's a lot of people think that we're in the rear with the gear, but usually we're right there side by side.
Right there at the front. Seabees have often been called combat engineers, and emphasis on the combat because they're out having to do things when it's not safe. Now, how long were you in? How long did you stay in?
I joined in 2002 and I got out late 2006.
Okay.
So about 5 years.
About 5 years. Now, you came home. I know you saw a lot of nasty stuff over there. I'm not going to go deep into that.
Right.
Because even though I didn't do combat 40 years as a street medic, I learned a lot. But it dawned on you. It
definitely. I went in. We went to Iraq, and the day we hit ground over there, we had incoming mortar fire into the base where we were at, and two guys were injured, not in our unit, but were injured, and Unfortunately, we were witness to that, and that's day one in country.
Yeah.
So it was a heck of a welcoming.
What an indoctrination! I can't even say it this morning. And that's similar to what it was with guys in Vietnam. They got on the plane, flew over there, got off, and all of a sudden it's instantaneous. There's no easing into the situation the way things are going over there.
Right.
Now, you were diagnosed with PTSD, right? You came out?
While I was still while I was in Iraq, I started having nightmares over there and sleeplessness. And they sent me to see the combat stress team, and they stamped me with PTSD. And once I got out, I was fine for a few years, or at least I felt I was.
Right.
My wife always claimed that I came home a different man. But I came home, I felt that I was fine, and then the symptoms just got worse and worse. There's almost a longing for combat when we get out. It's what we were trained to do. And then when you're not able to do that, it's difficult to re-assimilate into civilian life.
It really is, and a lot of people don't understand that. There's a lot of veterans out there now that I know a couple of families whose son, he's in his 6th deployment. It's like when he comes home, I think a lot of it is this, and I'm going to touch the subject, and if it hurts a little bit, I'm sorry. But guys that survive in combat sometimes have survivor's remorse. They feel guilty that they're alive because their buddies aren't. And I was in the fire service. Twice in my career, we lost 2 of our firefighters, and I understand it's even worse because this sounds awful, and maybe it should sound awful to get people to wake up and realize what needs to be done. But death is a daily thing. It's not, or it could be every 5 minutes. It's like you meet a new guy, he comes in, he could be dead in 30 minutes. And if you've never been in war, if you've never been in an organization where death is a possibility and you've lost somebody, you haven't got a clue. It's not like Aunt Bernice living to be 100 years old and she dies. This is a thing you're thrown into. And the bad thing about war and the carnage and stuff, it's all around you. And it has been, a lot of guys can't, they feel like they have a need. I've got to go back and try to fix something. I've got to go back because it nags at you, and that's what causes a lot of the veterans to develop these syndromes, and that's what causes a lot of the suicide rates, I believe. That's it in a nutshell.
I believe you're right. Veterans make up between 5 and 7% of the American population. It fluctuates because of basically all the suicides and the deaths. Yet 20% of all suicides in America are veterans committing suicide.
And that is an extremely ridiculous high rate.
Almost 3 times that of civilian rate.
Right.
And then, of course, first responders, paramedics, police officers, firefighters, they're up there too. They have a high suicide rate.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of those numbers when I began my walk.
Exactly.
But now that I've talked to a lot of firefighters, I've stayed in a couple firehouses, I've realized, I need to spread the awareness about that a little bit too.
Yeah, I think there's anytime that you serve, and what I call, there's a lot of people that say they serve, but when you serve in a situation where you put your life on the line every day, doesn't matter whether you're armed forces, fire, EMS, police, it's a brotherhood, it's a sisterhood.
Absolutely.
And when you lose one of your own, it hurts. And people, unless you're in the crowd, a lot of people used to say, they used to ask me, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? I didn't want to tell them because I didn't want to remember it.
Right.
And sometimes those memories, thank God, they stay in a little box, but every now and then they'll slip out. But couldn't sit around, paramedics, and we're gruesome. We can talk about nasty stuff when we're eating dinner. You can't do that at home.
Right.
It freaks people out, and that's the same thing a lot of veterans have trouble with. You come home, people just cannot understand it. And unless you're sitting with a fellow veteran that can commiserate with what you went through, it's kind of like you don't have an outlet. You don't have anybody to talk to.
That's exactly right. And a lot of times, isolated from their battle buddies they would do better, because
Exactly.
it's almost a therapy to just be able to be around people with common interests and talk about it, whether that be combat or knitting, for that matter.
Exactly.
It helps you to get those emotions out when you don't have to explain them to the person you're talking to,
Right.
because they were there also.
Right, and most what I call normal people cannot fathom the gruesomeness. If you tell them, sometimes they can't believe it. They just can't believe it's that bad.
Right.
But when you've seen it, you know it is, and your buddies know it is, and I think we were very, very blessed. I think in the fire service is we could go back to the station and we would debrief. We'd sit down and we'd just talk it out. And a lot of times at busy stations, you might not be able to do that. And in wartime, you never know when that's going to happen. You never know when you're going to have time to stop and decompress.
Right.
And I think, and I got to give a shout out, you met Dan Miller with Warrior Veterans Outreach. They've created an organization here in the county that gives veterans that option to get together, and Dan's been on the program before. We'll have him back on again. But I see more and more organizations coming up to help guys just like you, to give them a place to come together, not feel threatened, not feel like they're having to bare their soul, but they can just be and know that the people around them have been through something similar. And a lot of times that helps a lot more than anything else.
That's true.
I think. We got to take a short break already here on the Mountain View. We'll be back and talk to Joe some more about why he decided to start going across America. And also I'm going to get him to give the information that you can keep up with his journey. But we'll be back here after these messages here on the Mountain View. Stick around. Joe Copeland, who's a vet and veteran, he's on a walk across America to raise awareness for the 22 veteran suicides that happen every day. He's on a heck of a quest, is all I gotta say, because we were kidding before we came back this second, but I have trouble sometimes walking from here to the bathroom. And here's this guy, and of course Molly here, I've made a friend, you can't see her, but she's down here asleep. He's got a service dog that travels with him, and she's just a sweetheart. And she heard her name, is she waking up? Oh, stretch, big girl. But she's been. Look at that. She knows the fat guy's okay, so
Molly.
she'll sleep. Oh, leave me alone, Dad. Yeah, right. I don't blame you, girl. Just take rest while you can, because she's walking with him. Now, when did you decide that you wanted to light out across America and take on this quest? Because it's not something you look at lightly.
Right. Well, I've always been obsessed with doing a long walk. When I was a kid, I loved watching old westerns and seeing the wagon trains going west, and that exploration of the walking into the unknown kind of a thing.
Uh-huh.
So I've always wanted to do that. About 2 years ago, I decided I was going to do it, but I had to ask my wife's permission first.
I understand.
So when she told me yes, she said that I should probably do it for a cause. So it was at that point, it was a no-brainer. That I'd heard the statistics on the 22 and really felt that that's what I needed to do, was help out my brothers and sisters in arms. In the military, we're constantly preached, you are your brother's keeper,
right.
No man left behind, make sure everybody shows up to muster, all that stuff. And I don't think that ended just because I got out of the military.
Exactly.
Once I started really thinking about going across America, there's a couple different ways to go. There's the American Discovery Trail, which goes from Delaware to California, and it's more of a northern route. I hate the cold, so I chose the southern route, and I don't really have much of a route planned out. There's some destinations: Colorado Springs, Grand Canyon, Oklahoma City, stuff like that. But as far as getting from spot to spot, I'm kind of winging it.
Yeah.
And it's working out great. I've got a team at home that helps me find hotels and campsites along the way, and I've got GPS trackers on my cart. I push a baby, well, it's not a baby stroller really, it's a bicycle trailer that converts to a stroller.
Yeah, you got to see it. You really got it The thing that impressed me most was a baseball bat when I first met him. So,
That's for checking my tires.
yeah, exactly.
That's all that's for, is checking my tires.
Now, where is home? Where do you and your wife stay?
We live in Austin, Texas. My wife's originally from Indiana, and she was visiting her sister, who was married to one of the guys in my battalion when I was stationed in Gulfport, Mississippi. And so I met her through them. Fell in love, started spitting out kids. And,
How many kids you got?
I got 2. I got a 13-year-old boy. They hate each other. They're absolute rascals.
As brothers.
Yeah.
I've got 2 younger brothers, and I've been there.
The only time they get along is when somebody's picking on one or the other one.
That's right. I can pick on my brother, but don't you go near him.
Exactly.
Now, what do they think about Dad's walk? What do they?
When I left, they were kind of oblivious to the whole thing. They're just like, okay, Dad's going for a walk. But now that I've been gone for a little over 2 months, they want to talk to me more on the phone, and I can see there might be a little bit of resentment, the fact that Mom's the only one around. Mom's the only one that gets to yell at them or whatever. They can't sneak off to me after Mom's told them no and ask my permission for whatever it is.
Yeah.
But they still support me every day. They still tell me, "I love you, Dad. Good luck. Have fun." So they see the importance in it too.
Right. They're older.
Yeah.
They're older.
I wanted to wait until they were a little bit.
I don't blame you. That was a smart move. Now, where did you start your trek at? Where did we actually get started?
I started in Ocean View, which is it's basically the same beach as Virginia Beach.
Right. Okay.
The cities merge together.
Exactly. I've been there.
And I walked through Virginia to south to the Dismal Swamp, and I followed the Dismal Swamp Canal Trail all the way to the end of it, down at the bottom, and turned west. Kind of started zigzagging through all the little towns, and I'm really glad that I didn't plan my route, because I would have never come through the Smoky Mountains. I would have never come through Murphy. Murphy's laid out the red carpet for me big time. My money's no good here. Nobody will let me pay for anything.
Well, people here, one thing I've learned, I'm not originally from here, but people here have a strong sense of duty, honor, and country. And we support our veterans, I know, in this area so well. And that's exactly what I would have expected for you coming to town. I did see Tim Radford's camera work. I'm going to see if I can hire him, because it's hard to get good help here at LocalTV4. No, I didn't say that, Justin. But really,
who edits this, Greg?
I know it. I'll be talking out the side of my ear before it's over. But for a man that's gone through what you went through, and I'm not saying this. I don't want to try to bring back bad memories, but to have to live with what you've seen, because I understand. But then to sit there and go, I'm going to do something about this, and drop everything and get on the road. You don't worry about nothing, funding, you just go.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of guts. It takes a special kind of person to do that. But I think it takes a person that believes in with what you're doing. I think it's going to raise awareness, and of course, with all of us following you, and Tim, like I said, Tim, I got to give you kudos, though. You really have done a great job. And if you don't know Tim Radford, he's not just a radio guy, but you can get videos that he puts on Facebook. And he's followed Joe ever since he's been in town, and he's done a great job with it. Been just a great guy, and he is a great guy. We all know that. But anyway,
He's been my personal chauffeur too.
yeah, he's a pretty good guy like that, But now you're going to leave, and you're going to hang out with your wife. Y'all going to have some time to visit, which is great. How many miles a day do you usually average? How far can you get before you just have to stop?
10 miles is where I feel comfortable. I've done a few 20-mile days, and as long as I'm walking out of the mountains, those are okay, but I can't do 20 miles
I know.
up into the mountains.
I got you.
There's been, and it's really strange how that works. The 20-mile days, I felt good at the end of the day. I've done a few 15-mile days that just killed me.
Yeah.
But we try to stick to around 10 or 12. If I can stay above 10, it'll cut my trip down to 9 months, and I won't have to walk through the winter.
Right.
But That also means I'll be getting to the desert a little earlier,
Yeah.
so it'll still be warm when I get there. So it's kind of a trade-off. My wife thinks it's going to take me about a year. Hopefully it'll only take me about 9 months because I don't want to walk through the winter.
I don't blame you. I don't have anything to do with the winter. Now, you're totally self-funded or whatever donations people give you. You've got your gear. Don't you have a solar panel you can charge your phone and stuff on there?
Yep, I've got a little solar panel that it's a no-name, I think it's called Alloy Solar. It's a Chinese brand. I didn't have much money to buy American at the time, so I ordered that through Amazon, and it keeps my phone and my tablet fully charged all day. It does really well. And then she has a bowl of water that's always on the side of the cart,
Right.
so she can drink water anytime she wants. I have boots for her pads. I check her feet every day to make sure that they're not getting cut or worn down too far. And we take lots of breaks. She's my top priority.
Exactly.
And to be honest, I didn't think I was going to make it past a month. I thought I started with $300, and I thought I was going to run out of cash and have to come home. And I also have a GoFundMe account that people can donate to that would also help me get across.
Mm-hmm.
But they never, I've never had to dip into it except for a hotel room or two where they didn't want to take cash. They just wanted to take the card, over the phone.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've never had to dip into it from the kindness of strangers, meeting me on the side of the road, shaking my hand, hand me a little cash. Less than $5 a day on average. It's really been great. The people have been the best part of the whole trip.
Well, people appreciate people that do things out of the ordinary, and that's the part I see. You're doing something out of the ordinary that most people would not even try to even attempt, because it's a tough thing. Now, if somebody wants to get in touch with you or follow you, tell that camera right there.
Okay.
All your number, Facebook page or whatever.
Yeah, you can find me if you just Google hashtag Walk to N22 or go to Facebook and search Walk to N22. You'll find me. And you can support me also through 22joe.com. You can follow me in real time on my GPS tracker. And www.supportjoe.com if you want to donate. All the leftover donations, whenever I'm done with my walk, I'll get redonated to N22, which is a non-profit charity in Virginia Beach that actively seek out potentially suicidal veterans and help get them help.
Man, I love you, man. I appreciate just meeting you. I'm so proud to meet you, and I'm proud of what you're doing, and God go with you, and we'll be following you. And,
thank you.
You got to let me know when you get done. You may have to come back out and tell us, give us recaps here in Murphy.
Well, the current plan is if I have the money, once I get to California, my wife and my children are going to drive my entire path back.
Cool, that'd be great.
If it works out, it works out.
Hey, folks, if you need a good place to donate to Joe. We're going to follow him. Thanks for being here. To all you veterans out there, we love you. From all of us at LocalTV4, thanks for watching. Molly, you have a nice trip. We love you. You might want to stay here. We'd spoil you too bad. Hey, we'll see you next time here on the Mountain View. Until then, Greg Long from all of us here at LocalTV4. God bless. Have a great day. We'll see you. Bye-bye.